Welcome to the Bottomless Rugby post-weekend review. I'm your host, Kyle Kubesi, part of the Bottomless Sports Network. We're just a small rugby part of it for now. So thank you for joining us this week. We've got 4 big games to talk about, and let's just dive right into it. So please also follow us on all our social media, which are currently on screen right now. And conversate with us, DM, speak to us. As I said, our aim is to democratize the sport and make sure as many people get involved in rugby as possible. We want this to be a truly global sport. So if you want to join us, come through. So let's first of all tackle Super Rugby Australia. Super Rugby Australia, week 4, I believe. I'll stop keeping track because just having rugby just makes me happy at this point in time. But so there's 2 big games that happened this weekend: Waratahs and Rebels, Force and Brumbies. Not as exciting as the New Zealand games, but at least we're getting there slowly. There's more points on the board. So to review our first game between the Waratahs and Rebels, call on the mighty Dr. Dup to come through. Tell us what happened, bro.
Hey, how's it, guys? Dr. Dup here. Alright, so Waratahs versus Rebels. Rebels winning that one 29-10. Alright, let's just jump into it. Point number 1. Super boring time. The scoreboard is totally misleading. You would look at 29-10, you think, a couple of tries scored, quite exciting, so forth. But no, this was not a good game of rugby, and quite frankly, it was painful to watch. A lot of mistakes, and it was just scrappy and poor decision making all over. Clearly, Australian rugby is proving New Zealand rugby right when New Zealand said that there's probably only 2 teams in Australia that are good enough. And this match really justified them saying that. Point number 2, stat chat. All right, let's look at some of the stats from this match just to illustrate how one-sided this match actually was, and that the scoreline should have been bigger for the Rebels, right? Carries for the Waratahs, 54, Rebels, 136, right? Meters gained, 149 for the Waratahs, 469 for the Rebels, right? Defenders beaten, 6 for the Waratahs, 31 for the Rebels, right? Tackles made, 126 for the Waratahs, only 58 for the Rebels. Right, missed tackles, 31 for the Waratahs, only 6 missed by the Rebels. Right, line out win percentage, 82% for the Waratahs, and this is something that they had a really good record of. Right, and the Rebels, well done, 100% line out success rate. Penalties conceded, Waratahs conceded 17 penalties, the Rebels only 8. Angus Gardner, a little bit, you could call into question some of those calls he did put out. And then yellow cards, Waratahs had 2 yellow cards, Rebels none. So just from this, you can see that the Waratahs, the Rebels probably should have had, 30 to 40 point difference on that scoreboard, right? Point number 3, the Waratahs inexperience. So far this year in 2020, they've had 17 debutants. And I think this is showing, particularly with the inconsistency. I was thinking, before this match, maybe the Waratahs are starting to figure out how to play together, with this young group, and that they're going to get something out of it. And then this match was just absolutely horrendous for them. And this inconsistency, inexperience in the squad really doesn't help that situation. They have a bye next week. I think it could not come any sooner. This is the best time for them to have a bye after poor performance. My man of the match for this match, Marika Korobeti. There's just a single stat you need to know for why he really stood out. So the Waratahs, as a whole team, right, they beat 6 defenders. Korobeti did 8 by himself, and he scored a try, and he's got over 100 running meters. That says it all. Man just had an absolute beauty of a 50th cap. Well done to you. Right, so if you did miss this match, don't worry, you really didn't miss anything. And we'll just leave it at that and move on. Cheers.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Korobeti, the one-man team. What were the other guys doing on the field then? Was he just basically just destroying them by himself? That sucks when you're the one-man team. I've been there before. Carried a team on my back. I actually didn't. I was pretty much, did only once where I scored like 2 tries, as I mentioned the last time. But moving on to things that I probably should stop talking about. Western Force and Brumbies. Jason looked after this game for us and watched it. So, Jason, what are your thoughts on the game?
I mean, what can you actually say about that match today? 24-0 win for the Brumbies over the Western Force, and from the start you could see the Brumbies weren't messing around. They scored 2 quick-fire tries from Wright in the 2nd minute and Slimani in the 6th minute, and before 10 minutes had even elapsed, they were winning 12-0. And you may as well have ended the match there. Nothing else was going to happen. This was made worse by the impotent Western Force attack today. This was the first time since 2007 that the Western Force had not managed to score a single point in a Super Rugby game. That is atrocious, and the scary thing is their attack has been stronger than their defense. So I don't know what's going on in that team. Moving on to the 3rd point, Kunzel, not Quensley, Kunzel steps up. There was a lot of doubts about him fulfilling the role of the Lacio this week, especially coming from me. I think I even called him a weakness in the team. My bad. He put a very solid performance in today. He was helped by some of the senior players around him, especially a guy like Slimane, especially with the kicking. They were very good with the tactical kicks. Even used it to create some attacking play with that 50-22 rule. But I think the Brumbies are in steady hands with Kunzel. Credit to him. My bad. Moving on to man of the match. There were some tight contenders. Again, Slimani's name popped up a bit. But for me, it has to be Wright. He scored the first try. He almost assisted the second try. He was the second to last pass. And he directly assisted the third. That guy was all over the park today. He made 131 meters. On his own, he made almost a third of the Brumbies meters today. That was immense. And that is exactly what you want from your winger. You want that lethal nature. You want that elusiveness. He had almost the perfect winger game today. So, credit to him.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Jason. It's always hard to admit when you're wrong, but you did there. So, exciting with new 10. Not quite Alessio even, as we both agree, but, it was very impactful to see him really trying hard there. I do want to see. I was actually wondering while watching it, like, if Slimani could play 10. Because he was showing some abilities that could work out at the converted 10, but that's something for them to think about over time. So, let's move on to Super Rugby New Zealand. Alright, 2 big games. The massive streak was ended this weekend by the Hurricanes, and as well, the Blues pipping the Chiefs, continuing Bottomless Rugby's favourite losing streak right now. So, Jason, tell me what you thought about this game.
Well done, Hurricanes. Ending the Crusaders' unbeaten streak at home in what was a cracking match, winning 34-32, and, just outstanding effort from them. Going straight into it, they refused to lose today. So they didn't dominate possession or attack or even territory. But what they did do was they made sure that every time the Crusaders took the lead, it took no longer than 5 minutes for them to take that lead back. They just flat out refused to lose today. And to add to that, their defense was also immense today. They made 127 tackles, and especially with the back line, they made sure they always scrambled well to neutralize any threats that were coming through. Special mention has to go to Lamb and Goosen, who made 11 and 8 tackles respectively. And speaking of neutralizing threats, the 2 biggest threats for the Crusaders going into this game were their line-up maul and the Will Jordan effect. The Hurricanes did very well to neutralize the line-out. Crusaders only won 62.5% of the line-out. Atrocious for them. And Will Jordan, although he did play well, I will say that, he just never looked that threatening today. So the Hurricanes just did very well to neutralize the threats there. Moving on to man of the match, I personally have to make a special note of Wes Goosen, 8 tackles, 2 tries. I was very critical of him replacing Kobus van Wyk, so you know what? fair play, man, prove me wrong, but the man of the match has to go to Richie Mwanga. He is the best player in that Crusaders team right now. He beats 11 defenders off of 13 carries. And to put that into context for you, Sivu Reese and Will Jordan together beat 13 defenders off of 31 carries. Crazy stuff. Added to that, he made 99 meters and scored a try. Richie Mwanga, in my opinion, is to the Crusaders what Lionel Messi is to Barcelona. A fantastic player surrounded by other great players, but still, he is carrying all the attack. He is putting them on the front foot, and they are heavily dependent on him. So, massive credit, Mwanga. I believe that you are the best 10 in New Zealand currently. Well played.
That was brilliant. Streak is over. Jordan did not have the game that we expected him to have, but hey, happens to the best of us. So, moving on to the Blues and Chiefs, which I woke up this morning for at 5:30. So it was fascinating for me being up at that time and you texting people and talking to them on Twitter. And the most fun part is that I was like chatting with somebody in Canada who was up at like 1:30 for them, and I was like, that is commitment to rugby. So, love this game. Firstly, the Chiefs cannot finish. How much ball do you need to score a try? They were really testing the limits of the sport here. They just seemed content or unable to finish. I think that the Leonard Brown at 13 is just not working. He needs to go back to 12. Because maybe then they can bring in a finisher out there. So that could help them there. Number 2, Bodie at 10 was looking good. Brilliant. Taking on the line because that's what they've needed. Aotearoa Black is not a man that's going to run it and try to take on the line. So getting that in from Bodie really forced the Chiefs to defend that channel. And Caleb didn't look up to it initially. And Aaron is not known for defense, but he did really improve the team. Which brings me on to the fact that Aaron actually had a pretty good game. So yeah. Number 3, reffing. The first 2-3 weeks of Super Rugby Aotearoa, I hope I pronounced that right. If I haven't, please correct me in the things at the bottom there. Comments, that's the word. The reffing was generally good, but very strict. Whereas now they seem to have tried to avoid that because maybe they had complaints about too many penalties. But the problem with that is that it's just led to some really atrocious decision making that I have no understanding of. So I think they need to be more clear on what's going on there, because a lot of times it doesn't feel like the rucks seem very poorly reffed at the moment. And yeah, there was a couple of dodgy decisions, particularly in this game, that were questionable. But yeah, Josh Goodhue made a big one at the end, but like there were a couple of times where the ref was just making some really head-scratching decisions. So yeah. My man of the match, Bodie of the Barretts. Outplayed everyone else, was vital to this game winning, made the offloads that were key to setting up 2 tries. I want to give a secondary shout out to Aaron Cruden. He came on the field and the Chiefs improved. So yeah, I really do see that he's a better option than Caleb Tross right now. So yeah, thank you. Now, we go on to our moment of the week.
Barrett almost got it. Great tackle, Jamie Booth. Time is up, and so Barrett kicks it into touch. And the unbeaten streak is over here in Christchurch. The Hurricanes have got the win.
Ooh, delicious. So yeah, we're going on to the end, and let's do the wrap-up. All right, thank you guys. Fortunately, this week we've also been featured on the Harpin on Rugby podcast in their 3-on-3. I think that's the name of the series. I'm just being nervous and forgetting. But yeah, so check them out. I think I'm going to put a link to their podcast here as well. And yeah, listen to some of our podcasts that we've put out from last week, the main event. Dr. Dup and Jason spoke about some possible solutions to Super Rugby and going to North and like how we can actually like do things here in South Africa that will actually help us long term. So go and listen. It's a brilliant podcast. Yeah. And also look out for our next one that's coming out on Wednesday. We're going to discuss some fun topics. So enjoy, guys. And I'll see you again on Thursday night. So have a bottomless week, put bottomless coffee, and yeah, enjoy online calls with your bottomless brews. Cheers.